Hey guys, and welcome to Gwent, the Witcher card game. My name is Jaggerous, and today I'm continuing with my beginner challenges guide, and I'm going to be taking on Skellige. And I'm going to be taking on Skellige with my beginner Scoia'tael deck. So if you're interested in the deck, do check out the beginner Scoia'tael deck guide on this channel. But we're going to go for King Bran and Harold the Cripple here. So let's go against the Iron Fleet. With our beginner dwarves deck. And I'll imagine that this deck is all about, about discarding cards. Hint, destroy or lock the War Longship as soon as you can. So the War Longship is a card where when you discard a card, it deals damage to your units. So that's just something to be aware of as we jump into this matchup. We do have locks in here. We have a little bit of damage, but we'll see, just exactly how it goes.
Let's get to work.
Okay, so in terms of our mulligan, we're looking for making sure we only have one of our 3 silver cards because of Brotherhood's ability, and also that we have a little bit of removal, I think, in this situation. So it doesn't look like we've got much removal, so let's mulligan our Mahakam Guard into Decoy. Decoy is nice in this situation. And we'll mulligan our Immune Boost, I think. There's a Defender, which is what we wanted. And potentially, I think we actually leave it at that, to be honest. I know we don't have a lot of removal, but I think we can just make do by boosting through the damage. This deck has a lot of, strength boosting. So we're going to open with Brotherhood. We'll pop him down in the middle row. And we're going to use him to play Dennis Cranmer. Although in this situation, we could have target drawed Lock, which may be useful in this matchup. But you'll notice that all of our dwarves just got buffed. And he actually scorched that, which means we can't decoy it, which was our original plan. As it is, though, removing his Scorch is really nice, because now we can start to play our Mahakam Defender and, not be too worried about him removing it, basically. So there's the boats. We did expect to see the boats, I'm going to be honest with you. But we can actually remove this one with a little bit of clever play, though ultimately it does mean that we don't get the boost in this situation. So if we attack it with the Skirmisher... Oh, he passed. Okay. I was going to say, if we attack it with Skirmisher, we can decoy the Skirmisher and play it again. As things currently stand, though... He didn't want to play ball, so we'll just go from here. And you can see our Resilient Dwarf stayed on the board. We typically intend to buff that quite a lot, which didn't happen. I'm going to mulligan the first light, because like I say, I expect this deck not to be playing Weather. I feel like we found Weather in the Monsters Challenge, so we won't see it too much here. What we're going to do now is we're going to play Barclay Elves. This will draw a dwarf from our deck, and this has allowed us to boost this ally. It was a bit of a risky play, because if we'd gotten the dwarf that damages other targets, obviously he didn't have that out. So that was something that maybe we should have waited for before we played Barclay. But it is what it is. Triss is going to be really nice here. We'll pop her in the middle row, so we don't stack one row too high. And we're just going to take out his boat. Don't want to really deal with that. There is another boat. We're just going to have to deal with, I think, this boat, unfortunately. Although, actually, what we could do is decoy the Barclay Elves. But I don't think it's going to be enough damage is the problem. We're going to pull... We would pull a dwarf, but it probably won't be the one to deal enough damage. Saying that, getting another Mahakam Defender would be really nice here. Because if we get another Mahakam Defender, this gives us another resilient target to buff. And you can see there he also got buffed by Barclay, which is nice. So there's the damage from the War Longship. But as he only has one of them out, it's not been too much damage. And I'm going to look to start boosting my Resilient Mahakam Defender now. Because if I boost the Resilient one, then what will happen is I'll keep a lot of points going into the next round. Should we lose this round. I don't intend to lose this round, but should we lose it, we've got options. And you can see we really have a lot of damage. Although this guy seems to be damaging this unit, which is kind of unfortunate for us. Like, he's really going for it. It's like, it's so rude. So rude. I just realized we have all of our gold cards. So on the next turn, we're going to have to mulligan one of our gold cards because we have Royal Decree, and currently Royal Decree is useless.
Nothing like some overseas
so skirmishers, when they get resurrected, they gain strength. I'm not really too worried about this, to be honest. I'm just going to keep stacking my dwarf. Now, it is a little bit risky that I'm putting all my points in this basket, but as he's played Scorch, I feel a bit safer for doing this. Saying that, if your opponent has Igni, they will just straight remove your defender. Igni is a gold card which removes points from a card. It removes points from a card. I think we're just going to go for it. Basically, it does damage to the strongest unit. It kills the strongest unit on a row if the row adds up to 20 or more points. So in this situation, if he played an Igni against my bottom row, it would kill my 24. Saying that, if I had an Igni and played it against this row, because he stacked it all with 7s, they would all die. So, swings and roundabouts. We'll play Synthesis here. She's going to get a lot of points from all our dwarves, so she got boosted up to 12, and we get to deal 1 damage. It doesn't really matter what we target here. I'm going to target the boat, just because if I happen to have Igni, leaving these 7s together would be nice for us. And in comes the damage. I feel like quite confident here that we can definitely kind of take him on. The only thing is if I play Geralt, Royal Decree becomes a dead card, but we can just mulligan it on the next turn.
Let's get this over with.
I think because we're so far ahead, it's worth just, you know, investing in here. Because he basically needs to get 50 points in order to catch us.
No insult.
Oh, Igni would be so nice right now. A 35-point Igni, but it's not to be. We're going to pass. Can you catch me?
What's this on
I'm going to say no. It's okay, you only need like 35 points. It's fine. And you can kind of see the power of this starter Scoia'tael deck in that situation, where if they're not removing your cards, then, you know, you're going to have a harder time. And I definitely think the AI Igni'd too early. So, Honor Guard, this deck I feel like is going to be all about resurrecting Queen's Guards. So, banish or steal Queen's Guards in round 1. Useful cards, Ghoul or Vic of Aro Medic. Yeah, this is kind of what I expected. Basically what happens is you discard your Queen's Guards into your discard, and basically with a Queen's Guard, when you play a Queen's Guard, it resurrects all of your Queen's Guards. So you can tactically discard your Queen's Guards into your graveyard, then play 1 Queen's Guard, which you didn't discard, to resurrect them, and then on the subsequent rounds, you know, keep resurrecting Queen's Guards, basically. Okay, so we've got Barkley, got some damage. First Light. We need to find some defenders, really. We'll get rid of our damaged units for this situation. And I think we'll get rid of the Hawker Healer for the time being. There's a Mahakam Guard, which is what we wanted. So it's our turn. We're going to use Bruverhoog, and we're going to pull, once again, we'll put him in the middle. And we're going to pull Dennis Cranmer into the front row, which then boosts all of our dwarves by 1 strength. As you saw there, they all got 1 strength. And we can actually decoy him and do that twice. So this is really good also because the Alzur's Thunder didn't kill it, which means that when we decoy it, it'll go back to full health, so it also heals the damage he just dealt. And there we go, the units have been buffed. Now, there's not really a lot of point, I'm going to be honest with you guys, in buffing a... there's not a lot of point in locking a Queen's Guard, because if you resurrect a locked unit, it unlocks it. So what he'll do, you'll imagine there's Queen's Guards in here. Oh, Priestesses of Freya. He's discarded all of his resurrects. AI man. Like, not even once, you guys. Not even once. So, what we're going to do here, play out our card and boost the resilient one, which is staying on the board. We are at risk of a Scorch from our opponent. He's decided to pass. I think that was probably a wise choice, because this does remove the resilience from our dwarfs. We keep the 12 on the board. That loses its resilience. We got First Light and Commander's Horn. As it is, I'm thinking I'm going to keep the First Light and mulligan the Scorch. We have 12 points on the board, so we're unlikely to play the Scorch this turn, to be honest. So not that, you know, useful. And I think what we'll do for now is... So this is a bit awkward, because what I want to do is I want to play... Barkley to try and find another defender, but if he gets the card that damages cards, you know, that's not going to deal any damage. Or if he drew Cleaver as well, then we're not going to be able to lock anything. We have to lock something. I'm going to lock my own card now. We'll lock Barkley. Like, locking our own unit doesn't do anything here. But that was a risk. I wanted to try and find another defender. It looks like our opponent has all of their Queen's Guard in hand, which is kind of a shame. There's no point in killing the Queen's Guard, because if we kill the Queen's Guard, all that happens is they'll resurrect it when they play the next one. So what we're just going to do this round is we're just going to start buffing our units. And I'm not... You can notice I'm not concentrating all my buffs onto one card, because if I concentrate all my buffs onto one card, then what happens is my opponent, what they'll do is they'll just like try and scorch that card. Whereas if I spread the buffs out, you know, I'm more likely to be in a decent situation. Really don't know why he's playing Commander's Horn there. We're gonna rally. We got a Hawker Healer. We'll pop that one in there, and that'll buff these guys. And you can see, you know, just keeping them on different numbers of points so that we're not too targetable. Because he definitely has more Queen's Guard in the deck, so playing Commander's Horn, you know, there was dumb. But, you know, welcome to Gwent, where the AI apparently has no idea what it's doing. Discards its Resurrects instead of its Queen's Guard, and...
Should I pound it into a poker?
I don't even know. Don't even know. We can definitely 2-0 this, though. We'll play our Skirmisher. It doesn't really matter what we target here. Like, we're not going to kill anything, so it's neither here nor there. But what we can do, we can pull out our Royal Decree, and we'll grab, say, Synthesis. She's going to be worth more points than Geralt because of all the dwarfs that we have out. She gains 1 point for each dwarf that we have on the board. So if we play her out, there you go, she gains a bunch of points, and she does damage for each elf. We have 1 elf, so we will do 1 damage. And the reason I targeted that one is because this puts them both on 8, which means should I have Igni, I could have targeted both of them. As it is, I do not have Igni. And I think what we'll do, we're gonna toot. Let's toot this row. Now, typically, I would probably play the gold card before I played the toot, because I would be worried that my opponent was going to play Dimmertian Bomb and reset all of these units. But because we're playing against an AI and they have card advantage anyway, they would be able to play their bomb regardless, so it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really help us. And, yeah, we're just making sure that I don't kill the Queen's Guard, but 106 points. He's got to get 51 with this last card. Let's see you do it. Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think so. The thing is, I feel like these challenges are definitely meant to be more challenging, but as it is, I don't feel like the AI plays their decks tactically at all. Like, I feel like you're playing against someone who has no idea how to play Gwent, basically. And all in all, that's fine with me, you know. That's absolutely fine. If I can, you know, beat these very easily, I'm going to. And if you happen to get one which does know what's going on, just, you know, I don't know, quit and start again, and you'll get a dumb AI instead.
Nothing like a dwarf to get you out of a tight spot.
Okay, so what we got in hand? Royal Decree, Decoy, Hawker Healer. We got some Mahakam Defenders. We got 2 Silver Dwarfs. We want to make sure we don't have all 3 of our Silver Dwarfs, because otherwise Bruvahug's ability doesn't work. Bruvahug draws a silver unit. We have 2 of them here. In terms of our mulligan, we don't have First Light. See, this is actually quite a good starting hand, all things told. I'm going to remove the Skirmisher, the one that deals damage. We don't typically need to deal damage in this situation. We kind of have everything, like, that's going to be useful, really, is the thing. So I feel like we can probably just leave it at this. Like, we've got a good set of cards here. So we'll open with Bruvahug once again. Pop him down there. This gives us our Dennis Cranmer, which we can play down and buff all of our dwarfs. So that's why we make sure that we have at least 1 silver card in the deck, because then Bruvahug can draw it. But in this situation, you know, Bruvahug, there was only 1 card that he could draw, but we could have just as equally, if we had Dennis Cranmer in our hand, used him to target draw Cleaver or Barclay Els. But in this situation, obviously that didn't happen. I'm gonna play... Let's play Barclay. This will get another dwarf on the board. And I was hoping for a Mahakam Defender because it gets buffed, and it turns out we did get the Defender. Although I did intend to decoy my Cranmer, and I didn't do that, which is a little bit awkward because now we don't get to double buff him. But honestly, it's fine. There's other good targets for decoying here. So, you know, not getting that extra 1 point across all your dwarfs is not the end of the world. It's just maybe not optimal. So there you can see Morkvarg comes back. Morkvarg, whenever this unit is discarded or destroyed, resurrect it, and it gains, and it loses 3 strength. Do we have Triss? I hope we have Triss. We don't have Triss, but we can target draw Triss, actually, which is really nice. Markham Guard. I'm going to get rid of the Dwarven Skirmisher and see what we get. So, here it's our turn. This Morkvarg has 5 strength, but every time it gets destroyed, it gets less strength. So actually what we can do here is if we play Royal Decree and we pull Triss, we can then use her to kill Morkvarg, which means that next time he dies, he's going to have a lot less base strength. Although I imagine that our opponent is going to be buffing the base strength of these units. So Olgierd does the same thing as Morkvarg. It just has slightly less higher strength, and it loses a little bit every time it's resurrected. So they do similar things. It's actually, you know, kind of worthwhile locking them, because it means that when they die, they stay in the graveyard. But for now, let's just play our defender. Let's start to stack our defenders, basically. More defenders.
Nothing like some overseas plunder.
And then we can immune boost these, which shields them, so then protects them a little bit from damage. And then here we're gonna boost one of them with a Swallow Potion. Obviously, we don't want them to have the same amount of strength. That's kind of risky for us, so not something that we want to do. And you can see here, you know, I'm not buffing one of them to loads of points, just in case we do lose this round. And here you can see the strategy with Morkvarg. He keeps giving Morkvarg more base strength, so that each time it discards, it's likely to come back. And we can just kind of keep going here. We'll buff this one. And you can see there, I buffed the weaker one so that it was stronger, because if I buff this one even further and it got removed, life is going to be terrible for us. You are worth 6 points. I think what we'll do, we'll squeeze her in there, and then she buffs both of those. And then we can actually decoy her But another strategy we can do, which I think is probably worth more, even though we're not likely to lose this round, is we can play Cleaver and lock Morkvarg, which means when Morkvarg goes to the graveyard, it won't get resurrected. And then we can decoy Cleaver, play him out again, and lock Olgierd, and then everybody's locked. And you can see this deck is very powerful, but you do stack one row, which means you are kind of risky when it comes to weather. So that's something worth being aware of. We'll play Geralt. We're on 97 and he's on 73. And we're carrying 42 points into the next round. So, is this next card worth 11 points for you, King Bran? No. No, it is not. And yeah, that's how Scoia'tael row stacking basically works. It's crazy. I think dwarves are really fun to play. I don't know, I like them a lot. I like them a lot as an archetype. Okay, so now we're going up against Harold the Cripple, which looks like this is going to be a harm Skellige deck. So this was a discard Skellige deck that kind of ended up being a bit weird. These are going to be more about kind of dealing damage to your opponent and dealing damage to yourself, I would expect. That is another kind of Skellige archetype. And if you've seen my Skellige beginner deck, you'll kind of have a flavour of what that's like.
To arms, all of yous!
So Harold the Cripple's kind of annoying because obviously he can destroy units, but so long as we, you know, keep our units with a decent amount of strength, it should be fine. So mulliganing, we don't need our first lights. So there goes one, there goes the other one. And actually, we don't need our Dwarven Skirmisher, I think, either. So I was looking for more silver cards and kind of more useful cards, but didn't seem to happen today. So out comes Bruverhoog. We want to put him in the middle row because we're not typically playing units in the middle row. And then we'll grab Dennis and pop him in the front row. Buff all of our dwarfs, including the ones in our deck. And then we can decoy Dennis and basically play him again. So if we decoy Dennis, he gains 3 strength. But all of our dwarfs then get buffed. So then they all get even more strength, which is nice. So Grizzly Bear damages all of your units by, like, 1 every time you play a unit. Your units and his units. But his units being weakened is good for him because he has cards that can buff them. So if we play our Defender here, it gets shot by 1. But, like, it having 6 strength should be okay, as long as he doesn't have Alzur's Thunder. 2 Bears, on the other hand, really annoying because it damages all your units by 2. But what we can do is we could lock one of them with Cleaver. And then it doesn't shoot us, which is kind of a bit easier. Right, calm down, mate. So I'm going to pop Immune Boost here. That strengthens our units and obviously shields them, which means that if he does that, they're a little bit more protected, which is nice. Then I'll put out my Mahakam Guard and buff my Mahakam Defender. And you can see here we're actually getting really nicely set up, I was going to say, for Commander's Horn. But as it is, they passed. So we will pass too. And we keep 13 points with 2 armor, which is nice. So we were going to say we're looking for more guards here. I'm actually also going to mulligan one of my skirmishers because I don't think the removal is so useful. Scorch, not really great because we have the strongest unit on the board. But it is what it is. We'll open with another defender. Like so. And then we'll see what he does.
We serve her who is virgin, mother, and crone.
So, resurrected. I'm actually going to use my skirmisher here. Am I going to use my skirmisher? Nah. You know what? We can play Hawker Healer for now.
Oh my.
And we'll buff these guys. Which I think is a nice strategy.
By the rates of Morhog.
Because then when we get shot, it's not such a problem. And then we play the next Hawker Healer.
Oh my.
Like so, and that buffs these guys. And then we can Commander's Horn this row.
To arms, all of yous!
So he's going to kill that one and that one, yeah. I kind of saw that coming with the King Bran ability. And then apparently his own units as well. Because he doesn't like having units, you guys. Yeah, we'll play the skirmisher now. We'll damage the Clan and Cloak Raider in case he buffs it. I'm feeling quite confident here. You know, we don't have any more real units to play. We can play, say, Synthesis. But she's only going to be worth a few. So maybe we play Triss instead. Let's have a look. 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, Triss is worth more, so let's go with Triss. Pop her down in the middle. We'll kill this. We don't want to kill the bear, because the bear is hurting his units. And I don't know if he's playing Warcryer, basically. We'll toot now. Just to protect our defender. You know, keeping 9 points on the board is good. Looks like he can probably kill it, though. So I'm just going to pass. I don't think he can catch my 40 with his 1 card, and I don't really want to scorch my own 22. Because remember, if you play Scorch, it can target yourself. Hey, that was a tougher one for sure. Definitely Harold the Cripple. Like, the Cripple seems to have it over the King. Who would have thought the Cripple would be stronger than the King? Not me, that is for sure. I get some ore, and we keep going. Destroy or lock the Enraged Bear before Enraged Berserker before he turns into an Enraged Bear. That is really hard to do, because Enraged Berserker has, like, I think 6 health, and when it takes damage but doesn't die, it transforms into an 11 strength bear. If you've seen my Skellige deck, you'll kind of understand this a little bit, but yeah, bit weird. Okay, what do we want? Mahakam Guard, Cleaver, Defender, Healer. I think we're gonna get rid of the skirmishes for the time being. Barkley, Geralt. I'm just worried that I'm gonna draw another silver card here. This isn't bad. I think we get rid of 1 Hawker Healer. Oh, I got First Light. Didn't want that.
We'll greet him with fire and
So Bruverhoog. Oh, I meant to put him in the middle row because I don't want to stack the front row, but I kind of clicked a bit quick there. Buff all of our dwarves. We do have a lock, so we do have an option. Oh, see, if he wasn't stronger, we could burn both of these. Let's play Barkley.
I've got to get this.
And we got a Mahakam Guard, which is what I was looking for. Like, Barkley there was, you know, he'll buff the guard if we get one, which is nice. Which he did do, so that's good. And then we'll play this guy.
Coming to get ya.
Yeah, so this is the Raging Berserker, transform into a Raging Bear. So when you, basically when he damages this, it turns into an 11 strength unit. But what we can do is we can lock it, like so, and then that doesn't happen.
Coming to get ya.
And honestly, I'm kind of happy to keep stacking the row because we have Commander's Horn in hand.
Everything all right.
I'm going to play this and buff this defender here.
Coming to get ya.
And then we can toot. And honestly, like, in this situation, I think we're in a really good spot, yeah. He's decided that actually targeting his Raging Berserkers isn't going to help him. And that's risky because now that the Berserkers are in the graveyard, previously what you would want to do is damage them because then you can resurrect the bear, because then the bear goes to the graveyard rather than the Berserker. Oh, wait, no. What do we got? Yeah, I don't really want Scorch. So let's get rid of that. Honestly, Scorch is only in this deck because it's a starter silver, and I didn't want to put too many crafted epics in this deck, so I put Cranmer in this deck because I think Dennis Cranmer is really good, but I think Scorch is usually more useful than Doo-Doo, so that's why it's in the deck, even though I feel like I'm not really playing it at the moment. Let's play this defender. And he's going to gain 8 strength from Swallow Potion, which will make him a 14. Oh, calm down. He's going to gain 8 strength from Swallow Potion, that will make him a 9. And we're boosting the one that's resilient. These dwarves, you see, they stay on the board until the end of the next round. That's because they are resilient, which is nice. Have I played Triss? I don't think I've played Triss, so we can resurrect her.
Water. That's a poison.
And there we go, we're buffing him, and then we can play First Light and see what we get.
Elven Blarney.
We'll target this card. Basically, I just want to target something that I'm not going to kill. I maybe should have hit the Clan and Great Warrior in case he played Warcry.
To arms! All
He's going to kill my Mahakam Guard. That is fine. I like how he's targeting the one that doesn't stay on the board. That's a good decision. Let's play Say Synthesis for 10. And we may as well just go all in here. We have, you know, 2 more gold cards to play. I don't think he can really catch us. So we'll play this. Into Triss. And now with Triss, I think what I would typically target is Sigdrifa because I don't like them being able to decoy her. But because we're against an AI, you know, is that the smartest play? I think I'm just going to play as I would if this person actually was a person. There's Geralt, that's worth 13 for him. Here's our Geralt. It's only worth 10 because we don't trigger the Brave, but he's going to get 31 points with 1 card. Harold has decided is not to be. And you can really see the power of this Dwarfs deck because we're keeping so many points going into the next round. It really kind of gives us the edge and is allowing us to 2-0 our opponent, you know, quite regularly. And that's kind of the strategy that you're going to be using when you play this deck. So just something to be kind of aware of. Okay, so this is going to be an Axeman deck. This is interesting. So Axeman is a card where if you damage your opponent, the Axeman gains 1 strength. So whenever you deal damage to your opponent, it gains 1 strength and becomes stronger. So he's likely to be dealing a lot of like small damage to my units, which is worth being aware of. So in this situation, actually holding on to Scorch might not be a bad idea because that card does get stacked. We'll keep our skirmishers, but I don't think we need 3 of them. I think we can afford to mulligan at least 1. Actually, probably 2. I think I'm happy with this hand. So let's go with it. We've got a lock and we've got some removal. So these are the ones I was kind of talking to you guys about. The ones that gain strength whenever an enemy's damaged. And actually what we could do here is just straight scorch it. That's potentially what we do. But actually I think we'll just play Triss. We'll pop Triss out in the middle
I
row.
will not let this become a second
And clear it. And then if he plays another one, we can always, you know, scorch it. But this is kind of how you deal with axemen, is you kill them while they're, you know, small. Because when they become big, they're kind of a pain in the ass. And now he has to resurrect them rather than playing them from his hand. So this is nice. Oh, look, he's got another one.
Snitches get stitches.
I'll lock that one. And now what this basically means is that his strategy is not going to work, which is nice for us. We'll put Bruverhoog out into the middle. We'll grab Dennis, pop him out there. He's going to get shot, but, you know. Let's buff all of our dwarves. Because if we can get our dwarves on 6, it means that he can't one-shot them with Harold. Although the bear actually would deal that. But he's passed, so this is good for us. Mulliganing the first light, playing the Mahakam defender. So the problem here is both of our defenders are going to have this. Well, they are going to have the same amount of strength if he didn't damage them. We'll play another one.
Mahakam! To arms, all of you.
Oh no! Rude. So rude. I don't think they're going to get kept on the board at this rate. I think what we do is we'll play the Hawker healer. It's only going to buff 1 unit, but we have no more units we can play here. And then we can use this Hawker healer to buff the Hawker healer and this unit. But you can see all the damage cards that he's playing, which would be buffing those units that he'd played the Axemen if we hadn't killed them all.
By the rates of Moorhog.
So we can play this.
What do you need?
So here with the Skirmisher, I would kill Sigdrifa.
Elven.
Because, you know, if you kill her, then he can't play her again. But, you know, that means we don't get the buff. But ultimately, I think killing Sigdrifa is the right call.
By the rates of Moorhog.
Stop shooting me. And actually, because these guys have armor, this actually works out quite nicely. We're going to deal 1 damage to a unit. He has 3 6s there, which wouldn't be ignoble because the row adds up to 20. But, what was I saying? Oh, the armor means that they aren't actually getting weakened. And because they have armor, what that actually means is the axemen... It doesn't... I don't know if it counts as damage. Does armor count as damage? I don't think it does. Like, if someone hits my armor and it gets dented, I'm not damaged, you know, so... I don't know. I don't know. We're going to play...
Any last words?
We're going to play Geralt. He needs to catch... What's this? 22 points with 1 card, and he didn't do it. And there you go, my darlings. There we go. We did all 6 in a row without losing. And that is the power of the Scoia'tael beginner deck. So, if you've liked this video, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you do check out the other challenges and my other beginner deck guides if you're a new player. I'm trying to be as informative as I can so that you guys can get going as easily as possible. I definitely think the challenges are easier if you kind of know what the cards do. And for a beginner, that's obviously often not the case. We still have Nilfgaard and Northern Realms to do. And I'm going to try and do each one with a different beginner deck just to show that all of the factions are versatile, basically. But if you've liked this video, do hit that thumbs up button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And beyond that, have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching and subscribe, baby. Bye.